Hello everyone, welcome to Desker's YouTube channel. My name is Saurabh, one of the co-founders at Desker, and in this video we'll be talking about product roadmap. Yes, product roadmaps, something that you hear about all the time from your product team. We'll be talking about what is a product roadmap, why is it important, who is it for, all the factors that influence the roadmap. How do you start building a roadmap as a product manager? And then how do you actually communicate a roadmap to all the stakeholders, which is one of the most important aspects of your job. So let's start with understanding what is a product roadmap. It's pretty simple. Product roadmap is the representation and communication. So there are two parts, representation and communication of the product strategy of the company for the next 6, 12 and 18 months. It can be in the form of a document, PowerPoint slide, or a Gantt chart. There are lots of tools available online which you can use to build your product roadmap. You're not going to be focusing on that. Just remember the two parts of a product roadmap, something that often we forget. It's not just about building your product roadmap, it's also how well you communicate it to all your stakeholders. Now, why is it important? Early on in my career, I used to wonder, why do we spend so much time building all these product roadmaps that keep changing all the time? I mean, as part of the product team, I was pretty aware of all the things that were going to come out in the next 6, 12 months. It's only later on that I realized that every team is busy with their own work, their own roadmaps, and they probably don't breathe product in and out every day. So that's what product roadmap does. It's a way to make them aware of everything that the product team is planning to do. Now, this is what a product roadmap does and why it is so critical. Number one, it promotes a culture of transparency in the organization. The product roadmap is in front of everyone and accessible to everyone. Number two, it aligns the different teams towards the common goal. Number three, it inspires the organization. Number four, it creates excitement about the future. People get excited about the new features that are going to come out, that are going to be cutting edge, and how it's going to propel your company right to the top. And finally, it empowers everybody in the team to scrutinize it and ask questions, which is very important because the product roadmap is a result of all the feedback from all the stakeholders, and they should have a say in what's in there and what's not. So who is the product roadmap for? Who is the consumer of this roadmap? Lots of stakeholders. Number one, customers who want to know what they can expect in the short and long term, and if any of their problems are going to be solved by your product. Number two, prospects who are evaluating your product against everything else in the market. Investors who want to understand the strategic direction of the company. Engineering team wants to know what are the technical competencies that will be needed by the team in the next few months. The sales team who's looking to understand that will fulfill the use cases for all the prospects in their pipeline. And finally, the marketing team who wants to understand and build their own roadmap and how the marketing programs will support the different releases. What factors influence the roadmap? Number one is the vision. The roadmap has to be consistent with the vision of the company. Achieving the roadmap should bring us a little bit closer to the vision. For example, if your company's vision is make collaboration easy through technology, and your product roadmap is showcasing an online store that sells your office merchandise, there's definitely something wrong. It will make heads turn. I know this is an extreme example, but you get the point, right? The roadmap has to be consistent with what the vision of the company is. It has to make logical sense towards the company's quest of achieving its vision. Number 2 is goals. So there is a lot of confusion between goals and vision, and a lot of times it's used interchangeably. Let's talk about that for a minute. Vision is where you want to be in the long term. Goals are target you set out for your team in the near term. They are more specific. They focus on initiatives that will balance the short-term needs with the long-term vision. It should meet the customer needs in the next 6, 12 or 18 months while making investments that will make your company more competitive in the future. For example, your goal is to increase revenue in the financial year by 17%, right? The product roadmap should have specific updates that help you achieve that goal. Number 3, external feedback from users. In an ideal world, and we've talked about this a lot in our earlier videos, you want to build everything possible for your customers. But it's not possible. You don't have so many resources. Working through the feedback from your users on a regular basis will help you discover patterns or themes. For example, the data might point you to issues on one part of the product or features that everybody is asking for. You need to represent your customer needs in the product roadmap through updates to your platform. It shows and gives a signal to the customers that the company listens to them and takes their feedback seriously. In return, the customer is going to become more loyal to your brand, to your product, and eventually become evangelists for your products. Number 4, internal feedback. There is no dearth of great feedback coming from different teams within your organization. Treat it the same way as you treat your customer feedback. See if you can draw parallels between what internal users are asking versus what customers are saying. Is it the same? Is it different? Is it consistent over time? Most internal feedback, especially from the customer-facing teams, can actually be tracked back to the customers. I've often seen this happen a lot of time. Besides this, you'll also get a lot of great feedback from your engineering and design team, because they will offer a very unique perspective towards how the product should be used. Number 5, competitors. Your product roadmap should reflect how you will respond to the evolving phase of the competition. You will not be able to do that within one day. So it's important to take out some time each week to look at what competitors are doing and what prospects are saying about them. Track how your product compares to them. Do a feature gap analysis and keep it updated. Identify the ones that need to be fixed. All this really sounds great and a little bit overwhelming as well. True, right? Seems like a lot of work. But don't worry about it. Product roadmaps are not built overnight. I mean, you can stay up all night and build a PowerPoint presentation, but it's not really a roadmap. The product roadmap is the culmination of consistent is the keyword here. It's a culmination of consistent collaboration between cross-functional team and is led by the product manager. And it doesn't end there. It becomes a live document that reflects the need of the business, and they change every day. You might have to shuffle things around and make changes to your roadmap. It's not a great habit, but it will happen. You can actually organize your product roadmap in a couple of ways, whichever works for you. Number 1 is theme-based product roadmaps. You can have different themes and projects under them. For example, improving customer onboarding can be one of your theme. Redesigning the sign-up flow can actually be a project under it. The second one is objective-based. You can also state your objective at a very high level, and we spoke about this a little before. And then you club all the different development projects under it. For example, your objective might be to increase revenue by 70%, and then you group together work that helps do that under that objective. So whether you use theme-based product roadmaps or build objective-based product roadmap, you'll have to do one really important thing, which is to prioritize different work. So what you'll have to do is you'll have to identify all the problems that people are facing by going over all the feedback from different sources. Then what you'll do is you'll filter the ones that should be considered and you need to spend a little more time on. Use 3 filters. When you look at an idea, ask yourself, is this urgent? Is this pervasive? And are customers willing to pay for this idea? The reason for this is you have 24 hours in a day and you'll have thousands of ideas. You can't spend the same amount of time on each idea. So there are different levels of prioritization. Using those 3 filters that we talked about, you'll do your first level of prioritization, which is to find out which ideas are worth considering time on and doing a lot of due diligence on. So after you've done this and you prioritize the ideas you want to look further into, you will look at your data, you do consultations with your stakeholders, you will see if they actually align with the vision of the company. There are lots of great frameworks that can help you prioritize ideas, like the RISE framework, the Kano model, the Moscow framework. We have made videos about some of them. You can check them out. In this video, we won't focus and go through over each ideas. But by using those framework, you will be able to make better decisions on the prioritization of those different ideas. All right, so you prioritize everything. You build your theme-based or objective-based roadmap. Now, an important thing that we need to talk about is that product roadmap is subject to change. If you don't work in product management and you're looking at this video, you're like, yeah, man, they keep changing the product roadmap. I don't know what's happening. Well, you might have a full-fledged product roadmap presentation and give it to the packed house, and within a matter of weeks, you change it and shuffle things around and you add new items to the roadmap. That means bumping of a few items from the roadmap. It can be frustrating, but business is always changing and you have to adapt or you'll perish. Think about this. What is a product roadmap? It's literally a map, right? So, for example, if you are using Google Maps to get to a destination, a lot of times Google Maps will tell you, hello, we have a better route available. Would you like to try it out? A lot of times you will, because it's going to save you time or save you some miles, but you might change, right? Just like that, a product roadmap, down the line, the product team might find a better way to reach the goal or the final destination, and they might course correct or change the course a little bit. So it will change. Now the point is that at times this flexibility can hurt the productivity of the team more than the gains it provides. So as a product manager, you are that gatekeeper who will need to balance the need to be flexible, but not so much that it brings development to a standstill. I've seen that happen so many times with teams. You can do this by doing the due diligence on the new items and analyzing whether in fact they qualify to be higher up in the prioritized list of ideas. In the end, the goal is to provide as much stability as possible to the team doing all the downstream work. Build a master roadmap that you can share with the entire company. Then build customized ones for key stakeholders that highlight and focuses on the thing that interests them, that they care about. Presentation of the roadmap should only include high-level information about the project. Steer clear of getting into the nitty-gritty details of implementation. It is not the forum for that. Not everybody needs to know everything about how you're going to get the roadmap done. But you should always be prepared and ready with the finer details in case it comes up in the Q&A section. It is easy for the roadmap sessions to get out of hand. It can become a mess. Here are a few things you can do to avoid them. This is based on my own experience. Share the final roadmap a day ahead of the presentation. It gives people time to go over it in advance and come up with questions. Define the agenda before the start of the presentation. Be clear about how much time you will spend on each section of the roadmap. Keep at least 20 minutes in the end for Q&A. Whether you like it or not, some questions will end up becoming a discussion about implementation. And it might not be relevant to the entire team. Park those questions for a side discussion with those stakeholders after the presentation. When you present a roadmap to customers and prospects, do not commit to anything. Because as discussed above, product roadmaps are subject to change. And the last thing you want is to make a commitment to your customers based on which they make a commitment to their customers and then fall short. Yes, that's a very long sentence, but think about it for a minute and it will make sense. And finally, technical depth. The jury is still out on this one, whether to show technical depth or not. My personal take on this is that it depends on the audience. For internal teams, I show large technical depth. Otherwise, the question always comes up. What is the engineering team working on? When presenting to customers, I do not show technical depth because most of them don't care about it, or worse, they'll see it and they might start looking at it and start having doubts about the stability of your platform. In the end, it's all about balance, a roadmap that keeps in mind the needs of the business now while anticipating what they will need in the future will make the desired impact. I hope you enjoyed this video and it will help you make better roadmaps. If you have any questions, comments, feedbacks, do write to us in the comment section and don't forget to subscribe to our channel on your way out. Thank you.